You will hear a conversation between the director of a childcare centre and a parent enrolling her child in the centre. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good morning. Welcome to the Early Learning Childcare Centre. How may I help you?
Hi, I spoke to you last week about enrolling my daughter for next year.
Oh, yes. I'll just get some details from you. So, you're her mother?
That's right.
And can I have your name?
It's Carol Smith.
The parent's name is Carol Smith, so Smith has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning. Welcome to the Early Learning Childcare Centre. How may I help you?
Hi, I spoke to you last week about enrolling my daughter for next year.
Oh, yes. I'll just get some details from you. So, you're her mother?
That's right.
And can I have your name?
It's Carol Smith.
And your daughter's name?
It's Kate.
Now, we have several groups at the centre and we cater for children from 3 to 5 years old. How old is your daughter?
She's 3 now, but she turns 4 next month.
I'll put 4 down because that's how old she'll be when she starts.
Fine. She's so excited about her birthday and coming to the centre.
Oh, that's good to hear. And what's your address?
It's 46 Wombat Road. That's WOMBAT. Woodside 4032.
And what's the phone number?
Oh, it's 3345 9865.
So, have you decided on the days you would like to bring your daughter here?
I'd prefer Monday and Wednesday if possible.
I'll check. Monday's fine, but I think the centre is already full for Wednesday. Yes. Sorry, it seems to be a very popular day. We can offer you a Thursday or a Friday as well.
Oh dear. I suppose Thursday would be all right because she has swimming on Friday.
OK, got that. Because a lot of parents work, we do offer flexible start and finish times. We're open from 7:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. What time would you like your daughter to start?
I need to get to work in the city by 9, so I'll drop her off at 8:30. You're pretty close to the city here, so that should give me plenty of time to get there.
That's fine. Now, we also need to decide which group she'll be in. We have 2 different groups and they're divided up according to age. There's the green group, which is for 3 to 4-year-olds, and then there's the red group, which is for 4 to 5-year-olds.
She's quite mature for her age and she can already write her name and read a little.
Well, I'll put her in the red group and we can always change her to the green one if there are any problems.
That sounds fine.
OK, let's move on to meals. We can provide breakfast, lunch and dinner. As she's finishing pretty early, she won't need dinner. Will you give her breakfast before she comes?
Yes, she'll only need lunch.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Now, does she have any medical conditions we need to know about? Does she have asthma or any hearing problems, for example?
No, but she does need to wear glasses.
Oh, I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, she's pretty good about wearing them. She can't see much without them.
Right. OK. Now, I also need emergency contact details.
So what sort of information do you need?
Just the name and number of a friend or family member we can contact in case we can't get hold of you at any time.
OK. That'd better be my sister, Jenny Ball.
Uh-huh.
That's B-A-L-L. Her phone number is 33467523.
Great. So she is the child's aunt?
Yes, that's right.
I'll make a note of that as well. Now, is there anything you'd like to ask?
What about payment? How much are the fees each term?
Well, for 2 days and the hours you've chosen, that will be $450 altogether.
OK, and do I have to pay that now?
No, we send out invoices once the children start at the centre. You can choose to pay at the end of each term, or we do offer a slightly discounted rate if you pay every month.
Oh, I'll do that then. I find it easier to budget that way, and I'm not used to the term dates just yet.
Good. It makes it a lot simpler for us as well. Well, that's everything. Would you like me to show you around the centre? We can go.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 2. You are going to hear a talk given by a tour guide about travel to Esnia. First look at questions 11 to 14. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 14.
Hello everyone. As you know, this agency has specialized in tours and independent travel to Esnia for over 20 years. It's a magnificent place to visit, but it's not always as easy or as comfortable as it might be. So this tour is designed to help you handle the bureaucratic hassles and give you time and energy to enjoy the beauty of this breathtaking country. The first hassle is visas. Nowadays, Esnian visas are needed by almost all nationalities. The normal visa lasts for just 90 days, but a renewal is possible. It is worth leaving yourself plenty of time when applying, or I suggest, from experience, 2 months. That should do it. The latest confirmed price is £30, but it should be noted, and a lot of our regular travellers tell us that the price may change without notice and hold up visa processing. So ring up the Esnian embassy and check the price before sending out forms. Now, for those of you who are intending to take Esnia as part of a longer tour and want to wait till you get to another country, do remember that some Esnian consulates in neighbouring countries require you to provide a letter from your own embassy just to confirm your nationality. You can find a list of major embassies throughout the world in the student handbook on page 13. Oh, and one more thing. Check whether you need a multiple entry visa if you're leaving and re-entering Esnia on your tour.
Before the talk continues, you will have a chance to look at questions 15 to 20. As you listen, complete the summary and answer questions 15 to 20.
Now, some miscellaneous general advice. Firstly, if you're rich enough to bring in over $1,000 in cash or traveller's checks to Esnia, you need to fill in the currency form. Don't forget this. You could get into trouble if you do. You must declare all of your items and more expensive items, such as video cameras, on a tourist export form, which you can arrange to carry in advance. Regarding health regulations, although Esnia is becoming a generally healthier country with every passing year, neighbouring countries remain cautious with regards to health standards there, and therefore it is worthwhile carrying a health certificate. The one you need is the BM276. Now all of you here are students, and there will be plenty of concessions for young people travelling in Esnia. The Esnian Transport Authority, for example, issues a special youth fare card which you can get in any railway station. Just show your international student card. Information about getting this is in the handbook, and give 2 passport photos. And by the way, because there is so much bureaucracy in Esnia, we advise you to take at least 12 passport photos with you. They're not always easy to get done there. Finally, a bit more about currency. Pounds won't get you very far in Esnia these days, so they're no good. We advise people to carry either yen or Australian dollars. US dollars are starting to cause difficulties because of political disputes. Another surprise is that credit cards are virtually useless because of fraud scandals. Do carry traveller's checks, but we advise medium denominations. Large denominations increase the likelihood of theft, and small ones increase commission charges. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this student handbook has a wealth of information.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. In this section, you will hear a discussion between a tutor, Dr. Lester, and 2 students, Greg and Alexandra, at the end of a talk about music. In the first part of the discussion, they are talking about some of the students' favourite instruments and favourite styles of music. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen to the first part and answer questions 21 to 24.
I think it's time we looked at the results of our survey. What did you find out, Alexandra?
We're a group with very diverse tastes, Dr. Lester.
I'm not surprised. What were the favourite instruments?
Well, Greg loves drums. He told me he played drums when he was at primary school, and now he plays drums with his friends at weekends. They have a band.
Good. What do you like to play, Alexandra?
My favourite is a guitar. However, I haven't played for years, so I keep hoping to start again. Will I go on with the others?
Yes, please.
Katja is like Greg. She loves to listen to drums. She says she's not a player, just a listener. Rachel, as you know, is a violinist, so of course it's natural that she should favour the violin.
So we have 2 people who love the sound of the drum and 2 who like strings. The violin for Rachel and the guitar for Alex. What does Harry like?
Harry says the best instrument of them all is the piano. He claims it's more versatile than any other instrument. Emiko plays a piano, but her favourite instrument is the flute.
The flute.
Yes, Emiko plays the flute too, of course.
Thank you, Alexandra. Greg, will you tell us the students' favourite style of music?
We're really very conservative. My favourite is classical music, and that's Alexandra's choice too. Katja claims to like rock.
So that's a vote from Greg, Alexandra and Katja. Does Rachel prefer classical music?
Rachel made a choice which surprised me. She plays the violin, so I expected classical or opera. But Rachel says that she prefers country music.
How interesting. What's Harry's choice?
Harry likes to listen to opera and loves to go see a performance. He says opera has everything: colour and spectacle and theatre and great music.
And Emiko?
Emiko says jazz is her favourite music. She goes to listen to jazz every Friday evening. She also likes opera, heavy metal, classical, but jazz is the best.
Thank you, Greg. I wanted to see what you all liked so I could understand your musical tastes more, and I want to move from this to a discussion of the psychological effects of music.
In the second part of the discussion, Dr. Lester will talk about the way music affects our bodies. Look at questions 25 to 30 first. As you listen to the discussion, answer questions 25 to 30.
For the purposes of this discussion, I'm going to divide music roughly into two types: music which stimulates us and music which calms us. It seems that music which stimulates us gives rise to actual changes in our bodies. We listen to exciting music and our hearts beat faster, our blood pressure rises, and our blood flows more quickly. In short, we're stimulated. Soothing music, however, has the opposite effect. We relax and let the world go by. Our heart beats more gently, our blood pressure drops, and we feel calm. Alexandra, can you think of things which help us to relax?
Gentle rhythms?
Yes, in part. The melodies which help us to relax are smooth flowing and often have repeated rhythms. These rhythms are constant and dynamic, a little like the crash of the sea on the beach. Their very predictability is sedating, relaxing. By contrast, very loud, discordant music with unpredictable rhythms and structures excites and stimulates us. These two generalizations about the differences between music which stimulates and music which soothes are true as far as they go, but they are far from conclusive. We still have a lot of research to do to find out what, for instance, people of different cultures hear and feel when they listen to music. This department is taking part in a continuing study on the influence of culture on musical perception, and we'll talk about that more next week.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have some time to check your answers.
Part 4. You will hear part of an environmental science lecture about a large bird called the dodo, which is now extinct. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
One of the most famous cases of extinction is that of a bird known as the dodo. In fact, there's even a saying in English, as dead as the dodo, used to refer to something which no longer exists. But for many centuries, the dodo was alive and well, although it could only be found in one place, the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. It was a very large bird, about 1 metre tall, and over the centuries it had lost the ability to fly, but it survived happily under the trees that covered the island. Then, in the year 1507, the first Portuguese ships stopped at the island. The sailors were carrying spices back to Europe and found the island a convenient stopping place where they could stock up with food and water for the rest of the voyage, but they didn't settle on Mauritius. However, in 1638, the Dutch arrived and set up a colony there. These first human inhabitants of the island found the dodo birds a convenient source of meat, although not everyone liked the taste. It's hard to get an accurate description of what the dodo actually looked like. We do have some written records from sailors and a few pictures, but we don't know how reliable these are. The best-known picture is a Dutch painting in which the bird appears to be extremely fat, but this may not be accurate. An Indian painting done at the same time shows a much thinner bird. Although attempts were made to preserve the bodies of some of the birds, no complete specimen survives. In the early 17th century, 4 dried parts of a bird were known to exist. Of these, 3 have disappeared, so only one example of soft tissue from the dodo survives, a dodo head. Bones have also been found, but there's only one complete skeleton in existence. This single dodo skeleton has recently been the subject of scientific research, which suggests that many of the earlier beliefs about dodos may have been incorrect. For example, early accounts of the birds mention how slow and clumsy it was, but scientists now believe the bird's strong knee joints would have made it capable of movement which was not slow, but actually quite fast. In fact, one 17th century sailor wrote that he found the birds hard to catch. It's true that the dodo's small wings wouldn't have allowed it to leave the ground, but the scientists suggest that these were probably employed for balance while going over uneven ground. Another group of scientists carried out analysis of the dodo's skull. They found that the reports of the lack of intelligence of the dodo were not borne out by their research, which suggested the bird's brain was not small, but average in size. In fact, in relation to its body size, it was similar to that of the pigeon, which is known to be a highly intelligent bird. The researchers also found that the structure of the bird's skull suggested that one sense which was particularly well developed was that of smell. So the dodo may also have been particularly good at locating ripe fruit and other food in the island's thick vegetation. So it looks as if the dodo was better able to survive and defend itself than was originally believed. Yet, less than 200 years after Europeans first arrived on the island, they had become extinct. So what was the reason for this? For a long time it was believed that the dodos were hunted to extinction, but scientists now believe the situation was more complicated than this. Another factor may have been the new species brought to the island by the sailors. These included dogs, which would have been a threat to the dodos, and also monkeys, which ate the fruit that was the main part of the dodos' diet. These were brought to the island deliberately. But the ships also brought another type of creature, rats, which came to land from the ships and rapidly overran the island. These upset the ecology of the island, not just the dodos, but other species too. However, they were a particular danger to the dodos because they consumed their eggs. And since each dodo only laid one at a time, this probably had a devastating effect on populations. However, we now think that probably the main cause of the bird's extinction was not the introduction of non-native species, but the introduction of agriculture. This meant that the forest that had once covered all the island and that had provided a perfect home for the dodo was cut down so that crops such as sugar could be grown. So, although the dodo had survived for thousands of years, suddenly it was gone.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4. That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.